Disgusting,
It's
really.
disgusting, Cesar. It is disgusting.
It's not even. It's better we get a divorce.
I'm emotionally and mentally divorced.
I apologize to you for
Amount
saying
of respect.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're diving into part 2 of the Single Life Tell-All. Let's get into it. Okay, so they started off right where we left off last time with Ronald getting pissed off and punching the camera and probably breaking, TLC property.
I'm done. I don't need to listen to a sorry ass insane bullshit making up bullshit.
So Ronald storms out and he's just pissed. And he's on the phone with the producers saying, she shouldn't be telling lies. And, she's just telling all these lies, blah, blah, blah. And meanwhile, back in the studio, Sean's just trying to figure out if he's going to come back or not. And Natalie's like, who cares?
It's a good news, job. Yeah.
So Sean starts asking Tiffany for some clarity on the situation. She says, how long were you happy and you guys good when you were in South Africa?
Right?
For like 3 days.
For 3 days.
Yeah.
And then
Okay, so 3 days into her trip, Ronald gets a call from his phone and he's asleep. So Tiffany answers it. It's a woman who's saying that Ronald is her boyfriend, that they're still together. And she knows about Tiffany, and he told her that Tiffany was coming just to bring Carly and she was going to stay at his parents' house. And she says, no, I'm sleeping with him every night. Tiffany says after that she shut down emotionally with Ronald, but I just have to question, if that was 3 days in, why did she wait 4 months to leave? I'm just wondering what happened. So did you say nothing? Because she did say oh, I just sat back and let him fuck himself. So does that mean for those 4 months he thought y'all were together and you were mentally planning your divorce already? Or what happened? Did you leave, go stay with his parents so he could still see Carly? I'm just so confused how 3 days in you could find out he's immediately lying to you and lying to his girlfriend, but you still stay and act like you're in a relationship. I'm just really confused on that part. Then they decide to bring out Dan, who was the last guy that Tiffany dated before she decided to go to South Africa to see if she could work things out with Ronald. And it seems like he's still interested in trying to date her. So that might be something cool.
what is the status of things between you and Dan?
We're just talking right now, but I definitely like him.
So afterwards, Tiffany is feeling very validated in her decision. Everyone really supports her, and I support her too. I don't think she should be with him. I still think that's fishy, though, that she was just hanging out for 4 months, pretending to be in a relationship with him when she wasn't. So I don't know. I find that fishy.
There's something going on around here that just don't add up.
And then Ronald decides he does have a couple things he needs to say to Tiffany.
Tiffany, I tell you straight.
I'm not listening to you. You're crazy.
I loved you.
But it's better we get a divorce.
What?
Toodaloo, motherfucker.
Hey,
Just look after the kids, please.
So it looks like things are officially done. I mean, I hope so, because this relationship is toxic. And this might be the last time we see either Tiffany or Ronald, unless they do another episode of Single Life. So I guess this might be goodbye.
See you later, crocodile.
Okay, so Sean decides to move on to Caesar, and I'll give a little bit of history on him because I haven't made a video on him before, and we saw him quite a while ago, and it was only 1 season. So he was originally, I think it was before the 90 days. I could be wrong, but he had a Ukrainian girlfriend who he'd never met. He had tried to meet her several times over the course of many years, and every time she had an excuse. She was supposed to meet him in Mexico that season, and of course she didn't show up despite him paying for everything, as far as I'm aware. And we did eventually meet her, and she was a real person, but I'm pretty sure she basically admitted that she was just seeing him because of money. Okay, so fast forward to this season, and Caesar made the controversial decision to get a matchmaker in Ukraine. And it made a lot of people feel kind of like a mail order bride situation, like he was trying to buy a woman. And the fact that he was specifically picking Ukraine again made a lot of people uncomfortable. So he did end up meeting a woman in Ukraine named Alona, and they did seem to hit it off, but when the war started in Ukraine, she said she didn't want to leave because she didn't want to leave her family, which is totally understandable.
Have you ever tried to use a matchmaking service to find an American woman?
No, he hasn't, and he doesn't really have a good answer as to why he specifically picked Ukraine. We all know the reason why. He probably has a little bit of a fetish, or I mean, I don't know. I have a hard time with him specifically saying fetish, but that's probably what it is. So pretty much all the women up there are pretty agitated by his answers, especially Natalie. I mean, it doesn't really take much to get Natalie agitated, but because she's Ukrainian, so I can see why. It's funny because I remember there's been a lot of jokes about how those two should get together, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
Because I want to get them straight from the country.
So Tim starts trying to defend him, but he's not really making it sound any better.
I think what he meant is that he didn't want them westernized yet. Because he's been trying to date here for 50 years, and it hasn't worked yet.
Okay, so my personal opinion on this is I just think Caesar is lonely.
I love all type of women, but nobody seems to want me.
Okay, so pretty much all the women on the stage are upset with the way that he went about trying to find a girlfriend.
Went through a transactional method to get one.
And why I do agree, it is a little creepy the way he did it. I personally think that Caesar is just lonely. He's 50 years old. He wants a wife. He wants a family. He wants someone he can take care of. I don't really think he wants someone to control the way Veronica says.
He wants someone that he can control.
No.
That's just my opinion. You guys let me know what you think. But when I compare him to, say, Richard from 90 Day UK, who very much wants a woman that he can control and is going to a culture that he feels like he can easily find one to control and be his maid, I just don't get the same vibes from Caesar. And after I said all that, Sean asked if he's dating anyone new.
Yes, 2 women.
Holy
Well, shit.
Yes, Caesar not only has 1, but 2 new girlfriends. And yes, of course, they're both from Ukraine. Their names are Stella and Katrina. And apparently they have visas and they're coming over here.
To be in a relationship with you, a throuple, a threesome.
Yes, that's right.
prove it, bitch.
And Caesar already has big plans for when they get here.
After that, you know, probably they're gonna get pregnant.
Oh.
I'm pregnant.
Caesar, you're talking crazy now. I was down with you till then.
So Tim is starting to slowly jump ship, but Natalie is losing her forking mind.
It's disgusting, Cesar. It is disgusting.
It's not even.
They might be good and honest people. Don't do this to them.
You're insulting my country right now.
And you know what? For once, I actually agree with Tanya.
Had a little bit more discernment, but let's wish you the best.
Wish you the best.
Okay, do I think that this is going to work out?
Nope.
But I agree with Tanya. We just need to wish him the best. He is a grown-ass man. Who knows? Maybe it does. Maybe it does work out. But in the end, like, he's making his own decisions. And if it implodes in his face, it implodes in his face. Okay, so now we are moving on to Tanya herself.
Yay, it's my turn.
Tanya is recently divorced from Sinjin. We met them on 90 Day Fiance, like the original show, I believe. Now, the big reason why Tanya and Sinjin broke up was because of her wanting a baby so soon. And he eventually decided that he did not want children. He wanted to travel the world and go do a bunch of stuff. And she wanted to settle down and have kids. Well, now that she's single, she's doing exactly what he wanted to do. And a lot of people are confused. And Sinjin is actually backstage watching, and he is just pissed.
I think traveling, with me, that was a no-go. Because
Not only did Tanya start exploring the world, but she started exploring her sexuality as well.
Ever dated a girl before?
No, actually.
And Sinjin is saying that this is all brand new to him, that he's never heard that she wanted to be with women or was attracted to women. And he seems pretty confused and still pretty ticked off.
yeah, this is literally the first time I'm hearing about this.
And with Tanya putting on her dating profile that not only is she interested in women, but she's interested in exploring with couples and just wanting to have fun. It does say like she does want a relationship, but in the meantime wants to have fun. And Veronica brings up that she doesn't think that she actually wants to have a baby right now.
None of that indicated
I want a baby.
You know, Veronica's point is that Tanya put this timeline on Sinjin saying they had to have a baby. They couldn't travel. They couldn't do all these things right now. And now that she's doing it, it definitely doesn't seem like she actually wants a baby. And she really could have been doing all of these things with Sinjin instead of, you know, just doing it alone. And while I do agree with Veronica, I see where Tanya's coming from. And she seems to be taking it in. She doesn't seem to be taking what Veronica has to say badly. She went through a divorce. You know, she had it in her head. This is what she was supposed to do. And then she goes through this divorce and she's like, well, what do I do? And there's all these things that you have in your head, but then you just don't do them because you feel you went some other way or something didn't happen. And now she's like, fuck it. Let me go have fun. And you know what? I agree with her. You know, I think I even made an Instagram post that I actually like her single now. Like, I mean, she's still kind of annoying, but she is definitely more preferable now. Okay, so then they bring Joel on, and Joel was a guy that she went on a couple of dates with when she was in Aruba, and ultimately they ended it because Joel was insecure about her still being married and also her having no plans on getting legally separated or legally divorced.
Signing divorce papers
Doesn't make my marriage any more over than it already is.
It is the thought that counts.
And this is where I start disagreeing with Tanya again, because she just keeps saying that it's not in her head. Paperwork doesn't matter to her. It's not a big deal. And, you know, Joel comes on and he says it's not fair to the other person. And he says he thinks that she might still be in love with Sinjin. And I personally agree. I think she still has feelings for him and that she just low-key there's just a part of her that doesn't want to let it go, or maybe just doesn't want to let the idea of what could have been go. And Debbie just can't seem to accept Tanya's answer on this.
What are you doing?
But Debbie,
I don't know why. Why? Why?
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
This is definitely one of the things that I find extremely frustrating about Debbie. When she doesn't get an answer that she wants, then she will just keep asking the question over and over. And it is very frustrating. And it's just like, Debbie, stop it. You're not going to get the answer you want. Just stop. It's not going to happen.
Well, I'm not going to, ever. Even if there's a fire.
And Veronica tries to get the situation calmed down, but it doesn't really work.
Myself too.
Yeah.
I'm a lazy and I just haven't gotten around to it.
But we're telling you why, Debbie, and you're still asking.
Why?
Meanwhile, Sinjin's in the back, just pissed and just ready to get out there and defend himself.
Yes, you guys make me fire up by watching this. Yes, sir.
Ooh, just let me at him!
Even Sinjin confirms that he doesn't think Tanya has moved on either. And after that, they all take a break backstage, and there's a somewhat awkward encounter between Tim and Caesar that I really was not seeing coming.
Like circumcised or something like that.
Well, of course, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Everybody does that, don't they?
No, not really.
And then Debbie comes in and we learn that Colt is not circumcised either, which I could have gone my entire life without knowing and died just fine. But yeah, since I know, now y'all have to know too. And speaking of Debbie, we are officially moving on to her. So Debbie is actually on her second season of Single Life, and this time she did find love with Tony. And Tony is from Canada, and she actually made the big move up to Canada. So they show the, senior citizen softcore porn.
It's all
Sound down. You should sound down.
Good Lord, Debbie.
Scene to everyone, and everyone's cheering Debbie on, which, like I am. I'm good for her. Good for her. But, that one, and then the scene with Veronica, that just made me like, come on. Like, if you want to see that, there are plenty of other websites we can go to. I don't particularly want to see it on 90 Day Fiance. So they are starting to have a few struggles. Debbie has no medical in Canada. She doesn't have permanent residency yet. And so she can't get her medical. All of her stuff still got left in Canada. I imagine, she doesn't have any of her cats. I don't know if any of them are going to be able to go with her. So she's definitely starting to have some struggles. Then, of course, they have to bring him on.
So please welcome Colt and Vanessa.
Boo, you whore.
I'm not gonna go. He disrespected his mama.
So, during the last tell-all of the Single Life, Colt and Vanessa really ganged up on Debbie and were really just blaming her for all of the problems in their marriage. And now that they no longer live with Debbie, Vanessa is starting to realize that maybe Colt is just a man-child.
Feel like I gained a son now.
I don't want to grow up. I want cookies.
No, he's a child. He is 100% a child.
It's funny because even after everything, Debbie is still trying to defend him, and even Vanessa says like, oh, well, now I'm stuck with it. And Debbie's like, what?
You knew he was like that.
I'm stuck with it. I'm like, holy dude,
Stuck
you
with
really
it.
cannot take care of yourself.
This season, Debbie gave us a little bit more insight into her life before Colt. So she was actually married before Colt's father, and they had gotten pregnant, and the baby was born prematurely and unfortunately passed away. And then the doctors told her that she would never be able to have children. And then her husband didn't work out, and then she married Colt's dad. And so Colt was, in her words, her miracle baby, and he was born prematurely too. So all these factors led into their relationship today. Okay, and so they rewatch a clip of them fighting, and of course Debbie is crying, and I don't think she's faking it, but I think she's being a little dramatic about it, in my opinion. But Colt says that he just has no feelings about it, and he thinks that she's faking it.
I think she's kind of just faking it.
And then he talks about how he doesn't call her his mom anymore, and that apparently he hasn't for 20 years now, which, would be news to all of us.
20 years. That's how much I don't feel like I have a mother.
Okay, so I'm just going to need him to clarify a few things for me. So you had a mother in every other way, apparently, to do all your laundry, all your cooking, all your cleaning, all of these things, keep a roof over your head. But, all of those things don't fucking matter. Those don't qualify into you as her being a mother to you, apparently. And I'm noticing Vanessa is keeping real fucking quiet too. So, because I have a feeling she's like, maybe Debbie had a point. And don't get me wrong, Debbie is not perfect. She has had just as much hand in this relationship dissolving and being fucked up as he, but he's just,
I'm Southern raised, and the way you talk to your mom is disgusting to me.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe that's what it is to me, is that, I'm also from the South, and you just don't do that. And I mean, don't get me wrong. You have your disagreements, and sometimes you say stuff you don't mean, but it's like he's making a point to come on national television and berate her. And it's like, he's like almost 30 now. Okay, like, Debbie isn't keeping him from getting a job. Debbie isn't keeping Vanessa from getting a job either. They're living under someone else's roof again. None of that is Debbie's fault. So maybe it's time to grow the fuck up. A lot of people go through the same situation you do and don't end up like you do. So sometimes you have to take some personal responsibility for yourself, Colt. Okay, and that's the end of part 2 of the Single Life Tell-All. Make sure I will be doing part 3 next week, so make sure you tune in for that. It looks like Santa gets big mad, so it looks like it's going to be juicy, so you definitely want to be here next week, so look out for my video. If you liked it, please hit the like button. If you want to see more, consider hitting the subscribe button, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Bye!
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.